Today, we're going to break down an epidemic that's completely gripping the streets of London. It's transformed a simple everyday object into the key target of a massive international criminal enterprise. We're talking about phone theft. But, this isn't just some petty crime. We're talking about a sophisticated, violent, and incredibly widespread crisis. So let's get into it. For anyone in London right now, Londoners and tourists, the fear is totally real, and it's actually changing how people behave. Answering a call, checking a map, sending a quick text, these are things we all do without thinking, but now they come with this shadow of anxiety. People are literally, and I mean literally, backing themselves up against walls just to use their phones safely. So just how bad has it really gotten? All right, take a look at this number. That's how many phones were officially reported stolen in London in a single year, 2024. And that word officially is doing a lot of heavy lifting there. It's a truly staggering figure that just hints at the industrial scale of this whole problem.
Now let's break that down to even further, because 116,000 a year means an average of 320 phones are snatched from people's hands every single day. And this really puts it into perspective. On average, a phone is stolen in London every 5 minutes. The threat isn't just frequent, it is constant. It's happening around the clock.
Look, this isn't just a crime wave. It's a breakdown of something way more fundamental, the social contract. You know that core promise that the state will protect you? Well, that feels broken. When you can't walk down the street safely, it creates this deep sense of vulnerability, and you start to lose faith in the system.
So, how are these thieves operating with so much success? It turns out they have a pretty clear playbook with 3 main ways they attack. Let's break them down. Okay, first up, and this one is the most terrifying, is the e-bike snatch. And the key here is the technology. Criminals are using these high-powered, almost totally silent e-bikes like the Sir Ron. So just picture this. A 2-person team rides up onto the pavement and you don't hear a thing. One person drives, the other snatches your phone. And then, poof, they're gone, accelerating to 50 miles per hour in just a few seconds. By the time you even realize what's just happened, they've completely vanished.
The second method takes place underground, on the tube. Organized teams use this technique, sometimes called the Chelsea Shuffle. It's like a perfectly coordinated 3-person play. First, one person creates a distraction. It can be as simple as bumping into you on a crowded escalator. In that split second of confusion, a second person lifts the phone and immediately passes it to a third accomplice who just melts back into the crowd and is gone. It's professional, it's precise, and it's incredibly effective.
And the third technique is called table surfing, and this one relies on pure deception. A thief will walk up to your table at a cafe, maybe ask for directions, and cover the phone you've left out with a map or a menu. And then they just pick up both and walk away. It's so simple, but it works because it exploits a habit we all have. But here's the thing. The theft on the street? That's just the beginning. These phones are the entry point into a vast, organized, and highly profitable global criminal enterprise. This is way, way bigger than just street crime.
This supply chain is chillingly efficient. Gangs actually use Snapchat to recruit teenagers, paying them hundreds of pounds for a high-end phone. Once it's stolen, the phone is immediately passed to a handler who wraps it in foil to block any tracking signals. From there, it's either wiped for data theft or, more often, prepped for its final journey, getting smuggled overseas.
So, where is all this happening? Well, the crime is heavily concentrated. Westminster, which is home to London's busiest tourist spots and shopping districts, is the undisputed hotspot with over 34,000 thefts. But the problem is definitely spreading out from the city center to residential areas all across the capital.
And make no mistake, this is a very targeted business. iPhones are by far the primary target, making up a huge portion of all stolen devices. And why is that? Well, because they command the highest prices on the international black market, especially in places like China, where they can be reactivated and sold for a ton of money.
So this all leads to a really critical question. Why are these criminals so brazen? I mean, they're operating in broad daylight with what seems like zero fear of any consequences. The answer, it turns out, lies in a system that has, until pretty recently, basically been on mute.
So let me ask you this. If you become one of these statistics, what do you think the odds are that the person who stole your phone will ever actually face justice?
The answer is pretty much zero. Just 0.14% of all phone thefts in 2024 resulted in a charge or summons. It's a perfect storm for the police. The thieves are masked, the crime is over in seconds, and the evidence, the phone itself, is often on its way overseas within days. What that all boils down to is a 99.86% chance of getting away with it, scot-free.
As criminologist Dr. Lawrence Newport puts it, this paralysis in the justice system has created a perfect storm. It's a low-risk, high-reward paradise for criminals, where the fear of being caught has been almost totally erased.
But the story doesn't end there. Faced with public outrage and a full-blown crisis, London's authorities are finally launching a pretty serious counteroffensive. The fight back has begun.
And it's basically become a technological arms race. To counter the criminals' high-speed e-bikes, the police have now got their own fleet of Surons. To counter their anonymity, they're using drones and brand-new tactics to track and stop them. It's fight fire with fire. Police have a new £4.5 million command center, specialized Scorpion teams on those e-bikes, and crucially, new legal authority. They can now use something called tactical contact, which means intentionally ramming thieves off their bikes to end dangerous pursuits. It sends a very clear message that the old rules just don't apply anymore. And you know what? These aggressive new strategies are starting to work. Early data is showing a 12.3% drop in thefts across London, and an even more impressive 30% reduction in the super-targeted West End. It's a real sign that the tide might finally be turning.
But even the police admit they can't arrest their way out of this problem. The real solution might not lie on the streets at all, but in the hands of the tech giants who make these devices in the first place.
Experts are calling for a universal kill switch. What's that? It would be a system that could permanently disable a stolen phone and all its parts, everywhere in the world. So if a phone becomes a useless brick the moment it's reported stolen, its value on the black market just drops to zero. The entire economic reason for the crime gets completely destroyed.
And that leaves us with this final, critical question. The police are fighting a tactical war on the ground, but the strategic solution, the real game changer, seems to be technological. So if big tech holds the power to make this entire black market just vaporize overnight, who is truly responsible for flipping that switch?